Ready?
Have to.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fallout Podcast, episode 114. What else you get for Christmas, boy? It's a futile fall showdown. All 525 songs going head to head. We are still unbelievably in the middle of round two, thanks to annotated fall, few, etc., etc. Tonight, we are joined by Pip, Billy Willy Rugby. How you doing, Pip?
I'm considering the helm. The helm.
Aye, I don't blame you. Lord Sage Temple.
Aye. Aye. Asleep as any good captain should be.
Yes. Listen, I've forgotten something. Give me a minute. I'll be back in 1 minute. Talk amongst yourselves.
Not the only one then.
Well, you know, when you got to go, aren't you? You know.
Yeah, that thing which no man may do by proxy. It's my favourite quote from Don Quixote.
I'll need a couple more minutes. I'll just start again. Sorry. I forgot to
That's fine. We just fake it anyway.
I know. It's unbelievable, isn't it? But
did you have a nice wee anyway?
Oh no, it's not weeing. It's something else.
You got a poo?
In that time, Philip? You work for the NHS. You should know that that's not acceptable. Exactly.
I don't work for the NHS no more, buddy.
Oh no, you don't. Scam Incorporated.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Industries.
It's the future.
Well, I will start again in a minute. I'll edit all this bit out. But Leon's going to, I won't give too many spoilers, but you're all right. Leon, if I'll go, you gave me the list. I'll play them in order. We'll play them in like chunks of 3.
Yeah.
And then just do a little bit of chatting in between and see what you got to tell us and
surprises.
What the rest. Oh no, it's good. It's good stuff. Get
sure.
Yourself. Yeah.
Early Jamaican DJs.
Toasters. Cool. Yeah.
Would be fun.
As you mentioned the Twinkle Brothers last week, I was digging into a bit of that this week.
There's some really good stuff there with the Twinkle Brothers. Yeah.
A couple of these chats we've mentioned before, but not many of them. And there's a good chunk I hadn't come across, so that's pleasant.
I'll try and give a bit of context and sort of some links to where I think it fits in with Smith's style, or maybe might have influenced Smith in some way.
Beautiful. All right, I'll be back in a minute. Sorry.
They were going for a poo.
Yeah, the first thing I loved about the Twinkle Brothers is the unbelievably cutesy name and the title of the album, Massacre. The cover has like a gun on it.
Yeah, you did the heaviest dub music imaginable on the sort of flip side of their 12 inches. Often they're so deep.
Really?
Often. Yeah, Jazz Shaka.
So I listened
a fair bit of Twinkle Brothers stuff.
I listened to the Countrymen album.
Yeah.
And then I think it was is it Rasta Pon Top, the first one?
Rasta Pon Top. Yeah, that's right.
So that's the 2 that I listened to. Are they representative or
kind of? But on the where you got to dig into really is like 12-inch disco mixes and stuff. What Jazz Shaka put out on his own labels and things like that, which were cut specifically for sound systems, and they're just massive tunes often.
Leon,
but they're
one. Like there's a song I remember years ago, and it was like a Rasta type song, but it was basically London Bridge. But it was going on about the White Devil's Bridge is burning down. Do you know that one?
I don't, not off the top of my head. It sounds like something Lee Perry might have done, but I don't know.
It wasn't Lee Perry, no. But it was a good one. It was something like the Walking Seeds. It was playing it on Radio Merseyside about 1990. It was brilliant.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I'm going to go through just sort of some of the earliest mid-70s stuff, early mid-70s stuff.
I'm super ignorant. These lot all know way more than I do about any kind of reggae or dub or ska or anything like that. I'm really, really ignorant of it as a genre.
Yeah, it should be a decent primer then.
Excellent. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you all have weekends off? Yeah.
I do.
That's nice. Yeah. And me.
Apologies. Thank you for dealing with me and my stuff. My ongoing issues. I appreciate it. Welcome to Fallout Podcast, episode 114. What else do you get for Christmas, boy? It is Fall Showdown. All 525 songs going head to head. Unbelievably, we are still in round 2, thanks to annotated fall, few, etc. Tonight, Auto Chip versus Oleano. I'm going to Spain versus
You've been running, lad. You've been running.
I'm going to Spain versus the Fall Manchester post-punk seminal indie band song I African Mancunian Bonkers in Phoenix.
Hey!
Bonkers in Phoenix versus Hostile, joined as always by Pip Billy Willie Rugby. How are you, Philip?
Suffering, which is probably all right and proper
in context. Very good. Lord Sage Temple, how are you?
Asleep at the helm with my wrists lashed to the wheel, like any good captain.
Very good. And the Walker, how are you, Pemberton?
I'm feeling coquettish.
Oh, dainty, delightful. Are we joined from him on the other side at all?
We are. He's well done through, yeah.
Fantastic. And our special guest at this point, he's a part of the gang as well, Leon Jumblesale Esquire. How are you doing, Leon?
Yeah, all good, Brendan. Having a real fine time.
Yeah, beautiful. All righty. Well, we're going to kick off tonight with a treat. We've done a lot of features in past at this point. We've more or less exhausted our knowledge of the world, and so it's good that somebody who knows more about things than we do is here. So what do you have in store for us tonight, Leon?
I was going to do a little primer on the early Jamaican DJs. So DJs being a term for the unfamiliar would be better known as rappers, I suppose, in the UK or US. So yeah, the early Jamaican DJs, toasters, hopefully link that with how they may have influenced Marky Smith in the Fall in some manner, as he loved his reggae, and hopefully sort of show you some links as to where you might find that within the Fall's music. I guess it's worth saying that a bit of context is that, we're looking at this from a different culture, load of late 40s, early 50s white blokes in the grips of paranoia, and so a lot of this music references are super local, and the context is black music in Jamaica. So it's worth we're looking at this from an outsider's perspective as an enthusiast. So some of the sound systems, this was sound system music really, because very few people in Jamaica in the early to mid 70s had records at home and record players. Two major sound systems, which was Coxton's Dodds Downbeat and Duke Reid's Trojan, but there were others, Prince Buster, for example. Fiercely competitive sounds, and each would have their own unique tracks and DJs, which sort of the DJs originally were like jazz talkers, hype men who would sort of talk over tracks, get the crowd going. And the groups of sound systems included, the quality of the sounds, the selectors who were people putting on the records, the DJs, producers, selectors often doubled as electricians and engineers. So it's all about building this stuff from the ground up. They were so there was often crossover between jobs within the individual sounds. The earliest DJs like King Stitt and Count Machuki had fairly rudimentary styles, but then once you get onto the sort of early to mid 70s, some of the earliest DJs were the likes of U-Roy, I-Roy, Prince Jazzbo, some of which will play songs from. The rhythms and the rhymes become more developed, and the performances were so unique in the routines that the songs, and they became songs in themselves really, that demanded sort of releasing in their own right. So some producers started putting out pure DJ tracks and record, as counterparts to the main song. So they were flip side of the record, or the version. And so that you often get the song, you get the version, which is the dub of the song, or a sort of embellished instrumental version, and then a DJ version.
Let me just check that, Leo. So DJs are like the people who are doing the raps over the top of the music, and
that's
the
right.
selectors are the people who are like what we would call DJs nowadays, choosing, picking the records.
Exactly, yeah, they're the people picking the songs. Yeah. And in the early days, they would have been imported American R&B tunes, but through lack of music, the studios, as they become more popular, the sound systems, they got the funding to put together their own local musicians and created music based on American R&B, where you got ska, which developed into rocksteady, reggae, etc. So it kind of mirrors what happened later in the Bronx when DJ Kool Herc brought over his own sound system to the Bronx and used those early DJ tracks, played them, and then influenced by disco funk and, the art of MCing and hip hop emerged.
The breaks. Beautiful.
So the breaks, yeah.
Shall we jump in with the first three tracks? Because you mentioned, U-Roy, I-Roy, and Prince Jazzbo. So let's have a listen to some tracks from those. Fellas.
Of talent, like the man called Val Bennett and tenor saxophone, along with the man, the great producer, K. Hudson around. Studio kind of real cloudy, like I say, as I bring back this musical disc called Dynamic Fashion Way, third version of the old-fashioned way. Get in the groove and don't be rude. So brother, you'll be real cool when I spin musical disc of today. It could be only by special request that I do so. The great old-fashioned way played back by special request in a dynamic fashion way. Like I remind you that the studio be real cloudy. So you stick around and see what the king now putting down, the man K. Hudson on the scene. With back musical discount, dynamic fashion. Spinning real king from a record machine, great dynamic fashion.
From the college where you get your musical knowledge, as I would say, knowledge is power. As I shower down the shower on the hour, each and every hour. Education happened to be the topic. And when I tell you this, brothers and sisters, it's terrific. As I would say, I don't mean to play you no funny trick. But if you're young and old, you got to come on out and bring your walking stick.
Hold it there, Brad P. We hear Brad T have to say. You want gun I?
No I. Gun too hot for I.
Then what the man want then I?
Education for I and I.
That's what the brothers say. And you could hear them tell you each and every day. Literacy means a lot, so we can grow up to be cream of the crop. That's what I say. So we can go on hand in hand to help your makers to build a better land.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, as I would say. Good tidings I bring to you this day. Come on down and do appreciate as I would play. You don't matter what the world may have to say. So you got to do appreciate. Every nigga is a star out here. That every nigga is a star out here. So you keep quiet face. Make them know them place. Keep quiet face. Tell you, make them know them place. Long time ago I used to read about the strong man of old and called Samson. He was a dread. Then I read about little David. He was a dreadlocks man.
All right, so we heard Dynamic Fashion Way by U-Roy, Sound Education by I-Roy, and Prince Jazzbo, Kick Boy Face, which is the title that Alistair would very much like. What do we need to know about those, gentlemen?
Well, so, U-Roy is known as the originator of the toasting style. So a lot of those early DJs have a sort of style based on what U-Roy was doing, and to the uninitiated, they all sound quite similar, I suppose, and pretty raw and not much like hip hop, and it is often off the beat and quite jazzy and you know, in its style. But I mean, you get the big interjections, which I think is very Marky Smithy, you know, like pa and way, you know. So that's sort of something that I don't think you hear in much other rock or punk music, really. The timing of Smith is often much closer, I think, to Jamaican toasting than on the beat hip hop would be. So Iroy, I think, he's my personal favorite. He's the best, and I think where you see similarities with Smith is he's almost always trying to fit too many words into the bars, you know, too many words into the lines. The punctuation is even more kind of odd and dynamic, and then Jazz-Bo is kind of quite unpredictable and unique, very un-PC. You get all kinds of, you know, you never quite know what strange, outlandish comment you're going to get next on a Jazz-Bo track. He was quite popular with Lee Perry, who recorded a lot of good Jazz-Bo stuff. Kick Boy Face was used by Claude Bessie as Claude Bessie's moniker, who again, you know, the LA early punk scenester and documentarian, did the Decline of Western Civilization. And
a lot of F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T,
produced a few,
right?
And produced. He directed the Yourself Fitter video and the Wings video as well. You know, so that directly comes from this. Why I chose that track. I don't think it's necessarily the best Jazz-Bo tune, but I think the links there is worth a good reason to play it. So total renegades, contradictory, interesting characters who could command huge, busy dance hall crowds.
Oh yeah, this is about this. So that Uri one's what, like 70, maybe 69, 70s are really early, and so there's about 5 or 6 years. You see the development. The first one is really just an R&B track that he's kind of talking over, like toasting over. But then by the time you get to 73 and then 75, it's definitely developed as its own kind of thing. And the two, you know, you said to an outsider, they will sound quite similar, but the voices, Jazz-Bo's voice was, I mean, this is just a coincidence, but he's kind of got a bit of a mumble thing on that really is not too dissimilar to a lot of rap in 2024. I don't think there's a direct influence, but it comes in and out, right? It's that laid back style, and whereas Iroy is very kind of straight to the point, I think.
Yeah, it's often clearer messages, well pronunciated, that kind of thing with Iroy.
Anything to add, chaps, before we move on to the next three?
I did recognise.
I totally see. Sorry, I'll go on.
I was going to say, I did recognise some of the brass from the Jazz-Bo one, like from possibly either LSP or King Tubby tune. It's definitely been used, that one.
They use the backing tracks over and over in many of these cases. I don't know if that's
very environmentally friendly.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Phil?
I was just going to agree with what Leon was saying about the sort of the liberation of the singer in this style, where it's sort of breaking away from a really formalized role, and it's a much freer form, isn't it? Which is obviously what Smith likes about it, and because he does a similar thing with his own style, doesn't he? He sort of breaks down a lot of the expectations of what a punky singer should be like in the front of a band, you know, like he's laughing and various bits of mucking around and stuff and making noises. It reminded me a bit of because I'm not aware of this style, toasting style. It reminded me of a song that I got introduced to years and years ago, though, the Tour of Rainbow City by the Pyramids, where he's sort of talking over the top of the music, and he's like making local jokes, obviously, about characters that they're aware of. What's the difference between that and toasting? What am I missing? What's different with that?
Toasting was just another name for DJing. They were referred to as toasters. Nothing to do with, like, you know, muffins or anything. Although I'm sure you Roy, could make a mean panini.
I wonder whether it's because the MC thing, and you toast people at dinners and stuff. I don't know if there's a connection there, or if it's coming from somewhere else. But it is. Shall we jump into the next three and see how the style develops and other kind of influences on Smith and Co. So we've got a Big Youth track who we have referred to in the past. We've got a Dillinger track and a Prince Far Eyes. So let's dig into these.
Black people, never be ungrateful, y'all. The spit in the sky, fall in your eye. You see, what goes up must come down. Always share the love you got with a friend, baby. Automatic freestyle remote control. Genetics, to match your soul. Automatic freestyle remote control. Genetics, to match your. Said it was I, Jim Screechy. Tell me brother, did it, darling. I'm still gone down the alley. Don't know we smoke up the collie. Said it was I, Jim Screechy. And my brother, dilly dally. I'm still gone down the alley. We move, yeah. Don't know we smoke up the collie. And we no deal with the folly. I, Jim Screechy, and my brother, dilly dally, I would say. 10 Coltrane died in vain of love supreme. 10 Coltrane died in vain of a love supreme. Real trade, I said lion. But them on the same day that club crying now, original London Rasta. Yes, Rasta. So funky like so lion. Who this one called? Yeah, you the general. You son are the general son. But all of the son, them a come around. Say yeah, the you son and the general son. But all of the son, them a come around. Because him not up he made and him dread up he made. Him a Jesus Christ. Humble naughty naughty. Humble naughty naughty. Humble naughty naughty. Say they not the humble in a 4 racist club. Naughty naughty humble in a narek. Say you're the you son and the general son. But all of the son, them a come around. Believe me, you're the you son and the general son. But all of the son, them a come around. Cause you're the not up he made and spread him bed. Him a Jesus Christ.
Democrat rules mean war. Satyagraha. No more war. Satyagraha mean peace. No more Democrat rules. Satyagraha, peace in African language. So you're the one who come here to mash up this place, eh? War is over, not the dread come over. Oh, good and how pleasant it is for Remoites, Jungleites, Painlanites, Lizard Townites to dwell together. War is over, not the dread come over.
The war is over. Beautiful.
Yeah, so Big Youth. Yeah, he was huge in the UK punk scene, and he had some big albums, Screaming Target, and Natty Cultural Dread. So his tunes got played in the punk clubs. I guess he's more political, militant, often with Rasta themes going into the sort of later 70s. Themes of Black Power.
Smith referred to
Spit in Your Sky.
Yeah, no, what was it? When we were looking at the Roman Total, Smith directly references Big Youth. He said that's who he wanted Roman Total to be like, which was weird when you think of all the other things he said about him. So it was weird.
Yeah, I suppose as well he's playing a character in the song, Jim Screechy. Could be Fiery Jack. So inhabiting a character there. Yeah, and obviously the spit in the sky, it falls in your eye line. Yeah. Used sort of strong images there. Dillinger and Trinity were two key DJs who, they both recorded across many different producers, including King Tubby, Lee Perry, Bunny Lee, and both ran sort of well into the 70s. The key point of that track, I suppose, is it's produced by Yabby U, who was known as the Jesus Dread, which is where the sort of Jesus Dread line comes from. So he was a Christian, the dreadlocks. His music is always worth checking out. Such great elemental kind of rhythms, very emotional, always sort of serious message there. Prince Far Eye, the last one. So another, he's probably even bigger in the UK than he was in Jamaica, actually. So he came over to the UK and did a lot of recording for On You Sound. Sadly, was murdered, was shot on a visit back to Jamaica. John Peel played this tune, No More War, a lot, actually. So a lot of people would have heard it through Peel. Again, often, messages of peace, anti-militaristic messages. Feel sorry for you if you like war, that kind of thing. Links to the UK and Adrian Sherwood. I always think with Prince Far Eye, if you could go back in time and hear Moses in the mountain, reading out the 10 Commandments, probably Prince Far Eye is the nearest we got to that kind of what that might have actually been like in reality.
Well, that's it, Leon. I've got the Psalms for I LP. Which is basically reading the Bible. But yeah, he lived in Manchester for a bit. So there's a bit of a local connection for us lads. I suppose, with the Fall as well. But yeah, Dillinger, the Cocaine in My Brain, I love that one. CB4 LP's fucking ass. Big Youth, he's a big fan of dogs pissing because he keeps on going on about collyweed.
That Big Youth track, is he using the same backing track as Sound the Alarm, or is it just something that sounds like it?
I think it's something that sounds like it. It's not Ring the Alarm? Do you mean Ring the Alarm?
Ring the Alarm, the tenor song,
tenor song. No, it's not exactly the same rhythm, but a lot of these rhythms are versioned over and over again. So it's sometimes hard to pick out, and there's close similarities.
I love those rhythm CDs. I used to get the Trojan ones that would have like 20 tracks, and it's the same backing track, right? But and it's amazing how different they can sound with just a different vocalist.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the last three? We're going a bit long, but if you don't like this stuff, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. So on your way, we'll take as long as we want. All right, let's have a listen to the last three.
Fat man, as you climb up, you drop down. Hey, you fat man, as you climb up, you drop down. For you to look like dope on a big fat stuff, you wouldn't stop bluff till you drop down buff. Never let your big size fool you. The same girl they are big fool. Hey, you fat man, as you climb up, you drop down. Hey, you fat man, as you climb up, you drop down. Love till you drop down, but never let the big size fool you. The gift of Jah is eternal life. Still down the piper's son, take the barber's knife. Everyone going around saying they know who shot the barber. I know who shot the barber. It was Tom the barber's son. I didn't say.
My dream last night was about Alibaba.
Tom the barber's son shot the barber and away he ran. He ran away, as I would say. And I'm nothing ready to hide, for everyone know that everywhere you go you hear people say Tom shot the barber. Over there you hear they say Tom shot the barber. The young know that, the old know that, everyone know that they say Tom shot the barber. Him shot the barber. 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 He pulled the 38 from his waist last night.
Now us is us and class is class. say DJ I'm to be the boss. But I just want to know that the Rolling Stones gathers no moss. Come down with me, you can be what I say. Play me some music, I beg you, will you please play? Hey, I said I roll the links to the lunch, said this gather no moss. I roll the links to the lunch, said this gather does not no more loss. I roll the links to the lunch, said this gather does not no more loss. I roll the links to the lunch, said this gather no moss. You shouldn't leave your yard and not eat breakfast. Me say you get dizzy and you faint in the past. Cause dirty nigga come and them a pass them remorse. I roll the links down, said this gathers no moss. Step on for me, foot me and go wear for me clocks. A costume ball, you better put on your mask. Me love it, drink me milk, but strictly out of glass.
So you heard Fat Man by Jar Lion, I Killed the Barber by Dr. Alimentado, and Welton Irie's Rolling Stone, Dirty Harry Rhythm. What about these, Leon?
Yeah, the first two, Jar Lion and Dr. Alimentado, are both Lee Scratch Perry productions. Lee Scratch Perry produced a lot with those artists, at least. I guess another link to Smith is that there's often a call and response kind of aspect to these tunes. So that Dr. Alimentado is him voicing over Alibaba, which was an Elton Alice song, talking about the original song over the song, which sort of has similarities to Smith jumping on in Spiral Carpets tunes and singing, well, you say you lost 2 stone in weight. Well, what did you look like, fat? Or jumping on Long Fin Killy and saying, I'm the fire in your dead lungs. You can imagine Big Youth coming out with that line. Yeah, there's similarities there. I mean, the Welton Irie tune, the last one there, you're going into the 80s era of heavier, spacier productions by people like Henry Junjo Laws. So and the DJing is getting slightly more like on beat, similar to leading into the early DJ artists like Yellow Man and Lone Ranger, and those sort of you look at it getting into the rap era then. But I think Welton Irie is similar to Smith in the way the words are just rolled around and around and said in multiple different ways. Just one phrase, just said in so many different tongue twisting ways is just incredible. But I love that tune.
Great stuff. Yeah, I remember seeing that Alimentado album when I was working in a record shop. It's like the best dressed chicken in town. I just needed to hear it right away. And then quite soon after that, I think my mum went to cab boot sale and she'd always bring back records, and she brought that back, that Mr. Yeltman, the album, the first one where he's in the street with that. It's like, me cocky did it hurt me. I was like, here you go, son, have a listen to this. Cocky did it hurt me. Brilliant.
Parenting done right.
Great stuff. I mean, and this is that's a 30-year period there, isn't it? Well, or 25-year period we're covering. Amazing stuff. And you can see, you don't have to listen too hard to see the influence on Smith, like you said. Brilliant stuff. Anything to add, Chip?
If you think about it, though, I mean, from the really early gigs, the Fall were playing with stuff like bands like Steel Pulse, who were another band who were a fan of Pissing Dogs, and they used to dress up as ghosts.
yeah.
Ezra, what are you gonna say?
I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. I first found out about my first introduction to this stuff was when I got into the dub and Lee Perry and King Tubby, and Blood and Fire released a really fantastic compilation called If DJ Were Your Trade, which features most of the Toasters on Leon's list and maybe a few others, all with Tubby Productions, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I really, really love this kind of off the meter, off the grid kind of approach to sing, speaking, sprechgang, if you will, maybe. And I find it really interesting that, with hip hop, everything got back onto the beat and it all got really, really metered. Because even my favorite hip hop MCs, a lot of them kind of get a bit sloppy with that. And a lot of my favorite singers like Beefheart, right? And going back to the hip hop, the old Dirt Dog from the Wu-Tang Clan, like fantastically off the beat. And with all of the Jamaican DJ stuff, and with a lot of the dub and the reggae, one of the things which I see a through line with as regards to the Fall is, well, maybe a couple of things, but there's this earthy surrealism to it. You know, like it's not surrealistic in a kind of a highfalutin kind of Salvador Dali way. It's very, very kind of street level surrealism. And it's stuff that you could imagine seeing, or imagine a couple of old geezers joking about on a street corner, you know. And there's also the sense of place. Like a lot of these tracks are almost kind of skits, and they'll be dropping in things like the sounds of motorbikes and street sounds. Like, you know, one of the Fall tracks we've got coming up today is Bonkers in Phoenix. And yeah, you know, like that's definitely something I think the Fall and Mark E. Smith took and ran with.
Absolutely. Yeah. So fantastic. Thanks very much for that, Leon. That was amazing. I expected us to talk for about 10 minutes, but that's been about half an hour. So that's brilliant. I am going to make an executive decision and cut the tracks down tonight to 4. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So we'll probably get to Bonkers in Phoenix next week, if that's all right with you. But yeah, that was amazing. Fantastic. And great choice of records. Yeah, every single one of them. So
cheers.
Kudos. All right, let's kick off with the first Fall track of the evening, which is Auto Chip from Sublingual Tablet. So a 1 for Chip, indeed. Philip, as is customary, what do you make of Auto Chip 2014 to 2016?
Well, I think like all the songs this week on the playlist, I've really struggled making my mind up about it as a piece of music. It's like it's a strange one, this, because it's a long one. And they really do go for that stadium kind of sound with it. It's built up, and there's crescendos and there's breakdowns and stuff in the music. Everything is done super competently. There's Mez is doing what Mez does and what we all turn up for. I'm not sure if it's in my favorite Fall records, though. I don't know. It's kind of missing something. It's kind of missing some inspiration in some way. But the one thing that I do like, though, is the fact that it makes me keep thinking of the word succotash. Every single time he says suffering, I keep waiting for him to follow it up with that. But apart from that, it's like it's fine. It's fine, but it doesn't grab me. But I'm not going to switch it off.
No, you might switch it off after 7 minutes.
Maybe.
But,
You know. I just started at the end. That's where all the best bits are.
It is. And one thing it's not missing is that Mr. Road riff, which is all the way through it. Thanks, Peter. Although I don't mind it. Leon, what do you make?
One of the better versions of that riff, though, isn't it?
It's a good usage. It's a good application of that riff. Leon, what do you make of Auto Chip?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's not my favorite from that era, and there's seems to be a lot of people's favorite. So I don't think it's quite, hypnotic enough to justify the length. I think it worked best where they could do a live version, which was just totally pummeling for a long. I think it works as a real pummeling track, but that they quite come across in the studio version. I don't think so. It's okay, but not, not the best.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's I always go back to Noi after I listen to it. I immediately just go and put on Hello, and it's like, yeah, this is a better version of what they were trying to do there. Although I actually think of the gang, Spur is pretty on it. I think the bass all the way through is okay. I'd like it to be heavier, but I think it kind of does vary enough. But I can't help but think of how Hanley would have dealt with something like this, and it would have just repeatedly punched you in the face for 10 minutes. And maybe that would have been more. Yeah. No, I basically said I'm not sure if it commits to the groove it's trying to lay down enough. It kind of half-asses it a little bit. And Eleni's still on board at this point, I think, but she's not really in the track very much. I think there's maybe some keys and drones lower in the mix, but
that's what I was getting at, and why I played the end of the song rather than the start of it, because I think Eleni's best bits are at the end. In fact, that's the only bits I can remember.
Yeah, you could. If I was going to do it, that looping those end bits and starting from there and layering noises on top of it would might. It's not far off. It's not far off. It's decent, but it could have been great, I think. Especially we weren't pledged last week, right? And that's this. It's not quite the same, but it's done right. It's a similar kind of vibe. Alistair, what do you make of Auto Chip?
Well, I do quite like sublingual, and I don't mind Auto Chip at all. I do quite like what it's doing, what it's trying to do anyway. It's like a noisy groove with some like great vocals on there. And you kind of like mentioned Eleni, she's very sparse on there, but when she's in there, it's good. Yeah, and there is that default riff in there, for the guitar, which, yeah, again, bit of recycling. It's not spectacular, but it's all right.
It's decent. Late era, absolutely. Give me that over anything off Remit. Ezra, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hodgepodge, isn't it? Like, I have very fond memories of it, and you listen to it and you're supposed to walk away thinking, oh, motoric, Noi, but then when you actually come back to it, you're like, yeah, it's not quite there though, is it? It's not really the lean kind of sleek beast that you want to feel if you're going to be hearing that kind of music. And so, yeah, I think you're right, Brendan. I think they do it. There's something a bit half-assed about it, and I think for me, it's the guitar, like the central riff, I think is perfect, but he could have played it a bit less and started off with maybe one note and then started bringing the notes in. And then there's all this other guitar stuff where he's playing other stuff, which I feel is completely unnecessary within the track. The bass is way too low for me. But the stuff that makes me really, really like it is actually Eleni's work, because she's not there a lot, but it's a light touch. And when she comes in, it adds a perfect little push to the whole thing. And Mez's vocals and the lyrics, like the multi-tracking and just the whole away, it's really, really nice. And they're good, fucking hilarious lyrics as well, because it's English musicians are suffering away, and just like, what the fuck's he on about? So English musicians are suffering. But of course, English musicians are suffering. They're suffering dreadfully thanks to Brexit, isn't it? I'm not even sure if Brexit had happened yet, but I also, there's a lot of talk on the annotated fall about the use of chip, like he sees life through a broken chip. He sees life through a chip. And there's a few ideas about what chip might be about. And I was reading it and I was thinking, well, it seems like, there's in the UK, in some places we use chip tick, right? You get something for free or to pay later, right?
Yeah.
Or am I just
I've heard that term. I'll back you up on that.
I feel like kind of 2014 chip. He sees life through a broken chip.
Is this a northern thing?
Possibly an Ezra thing.
Be. No. I mean, where I came from, it was always on tick.
On tick, on the chip.
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard on chip.
I've not heard chip though.
I might have. I'll
well, who knows?
I think we should start though. Let's popularize it.
Yeah.
Is he criticizing English musicians or British musicians on this?
Oh, you can never tell, can
Wouldn't be the first time.
If I had to put money on it, I would say he is criticising English musicians.
Maybe not their musicianship, surely.
Well, he's always bitching about drummers, isn't he? He's always bitching about English drummers, always wanting to put fills in all the time.
Yeah.
I just assumed that he was, and that he was just like, again, I just made this story up entirely, but he wanted them to do a Motorik Noi-ish song, and they just couldn't do it. So he's essentially like mocking them over the top of it.
I think that could be it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
Is he just annoyed that they complain about, not putting the heating on in the van and stuff like that?
Everything.
Just soft, too soft, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of course, Sublingual is like the medical album, isn't it? Like a lot of it's about him being a bit sick.
That's part of it, but it's the other one. Your Future Clutter is the one that he talks quite a lot, Slippy Floor and stuff. But this one's got stuff on it as well, of course. But this one has more of a technology thing running through it. Although weirdly enough, a sublingual tablet is a tablet that you put under your tongue, and when so I always just took it as some play on technology, which it probably is, but it's also an actual thing. And what was interesting is when the Lovely Eggs did one of their YouTube shows recently, they interviewed Tim Presley, and he's painting, he's in his studio, and there's just piles of boxes saying sublingual tablet on them all over, and these are specifically for opioid addiction. And
you've also got the trap medication on it as well, haven't you? So
medication, not medication.
Yeah. Bedwet pills, maybe. But Alice,
can I read some of the lyrics before we move on? Yeah. All right. I really like this line, which I'm going to start with. So I'll read the last couple of verses here. He sees life through the back of the blackheads in front. He sees life through a broken chip. He sees life through a chip. He sees life through a broken glass window. Chip, glass. He sees life through blah, blah, 014, 2014, back of, into the suffering. 2014 chip, 2014 rip, the town Madison. How bad are English musicians? How bad are English musicians? He sees life through a 2014 cracked window chip. I think that's marvelous.
It's amazing.
Blackheads in front.
Yeah. And we just talked, what was the last track, that the Rolling Stone track that you brought up, Leon? And it's the same thing, isn't he? He's just playing around with the same, just a few words moved around, mangled a bit, and just the meaning keeps shifting and moving. Brilliant stuff. What do you think?
I'll tell you, I like it plenty for how it stretches out and feels a sort of strange mix between tension and floatiness. It's a bit unfortunate how thin the lyrics are, though, and in the end, I don't find it very convincing nowadays. Good track, but not something I'd listen to by choice nowadays, I don't think.
Indeed. Well. Michael E says, there are some Fall songs that are quite long, but I have such a great time with them I never noticed. This is not one of them. Around the 4-minute mark, I really want to move on to the next track. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. I just don't need quite so much of it. Fair enough, Michael. Fair enough. No, nothing from Max today. I'm not sure if he's busy, but hope you're okay, Max, and we'll hopefully hear from you soon. He's going to come on in a couple of weeks, I think, as well. So that'll be
cool.
That'll be nice. There was one thing on that fall that jumped out to me, that Chetwynd, there's a suggestion that it's a reference to Ronald Chetwynd Hayes, a ghost story writer. I don't know if you've come across him, Phil, but and I didn't know the name, but it suggests that he's mentioned or referenced Inspector versus Rector, whether directly or indirectly. I'll have to look a little bit more at that. I'm not sure. It's probably come from Danny, so we can grill him on it at some point if we get him. All right. So that's everyone, right? Alistair, I asked you what you thought. Yeah, I did.
Oh, yes.
Good. All right. So let's move on to what it's up against, which is Oleano of Light User Syndrome. So I couldn't help, I shared this with you already, Phil. I could not help but think of this when I heard this song. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, it's okay to be a Marilyn Manson fan, but if your songs start to sound like his covers of the Eurythmics, you might be in trouble. Ezra, what did you think of Oleano?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. I always have been, and you know, to compare it with the auto chip, here we've got some nice bass. We've got a really nice kind of motoric groove that I feel like it builds quite subtly. I don't think they bring in the actual snare until the last minute or so. So it just like has this nice moment where the tension kind of kicks off and you're on the highway, or the autobahn, as they might say. Slightly more muted performance from Marky Smith. And the thing I like about it as well is that it's a kind of a story, but it's a total mystery. He's just trying to uncover the truth. But where's the captain? It's over the captain, and he's in his bunk berth, asleep as he should be. And it's over for you, except scream, ha, 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 ha. Ensconced in the snow, this was the hell of Oleano, HMS, ensconced in snow. And so I guess they went to the Arctic and there was some snow, and it froze, and then the ocean froze, and they all froze, and someone screamed and someone coughed. But nothing's really given away in the lyrics, which I think is really nice and quite artful. And there's this high drama going on in the music, which makes this, like, for me, it's a real nice deep cut. And yeah, I enjoy listening to this often.
Aye, noted. Leon, what's it do for you?
Yeah, I've always liked this one. Yeah, urgent, intense. I guess in a period where Smith is often presumed to be too pissed to come up with his old narrative style, this is a kind of mid-period narrative Smith track. If there's enough there to call it a narrative, I suppose there's enough clues there to make it evocative and of something. And still she is ensconced in snow, is the last line. I think is really cool. Love it. Great.
Yeah, nice. It's grown on me a lot. These two tracks, Hostile and Oleano, that are on the playlist this evening, there are two that I'd always glossed over on, like User Syndrome, in favor of E.P.E.P. and etc. But I really liked it. The spooky synths over the kind of one-note guitar riff. For me, it is those keyboards, as Aishuma Julia, that really makes it a kind of a nice track. And I just give me the drums and Smith and Julia, and you can kind of keep the rest. It's a bit perfunctory, although I do think that the bass is nice and heavy. It's a great sound. That album does sound really, really good. I was very surprised that it was one of my favorites this week. It really did grow on me. Philip, did it grow on you?
No. It's one of them tracks where I like everything individually that's going on with it, and like Ezra was, I love the storytelling in it. It's like it's very much a Lovecraftian Antarctic kind of weird adventure, isn't it? But I think it's the keyboard. I just don't like that keyboard sound. It makes me think I'm listening to a 70s prog record, and I don't like that turn in it. I think if the keyboard was off it, or they'd done just a different voice with it and maybe a bit of a different feel to it rather than the anthemic trance sort of, does nothing for me at all. But I love how busy everything else is. I love the drums on it. I think that's great, and I really like the guitar on it. I think the guitar sounds fab. But when it all together as a piece, no, it didn't do anything for me really. It's again, because it's like you, I glossed over it and not been really bothered by it. And then the more time I've spent with it, the more that keyboard and the sort of perfunctory verse bit as well, which just feels like a bit of we've got to do something different now. And I felt a bit lazy, but Mez keeps it all together. That's great.
So we basically agree.
Yes.
Alistair, what do you make of this?
I don't mind it at all. I'm not a huge fan of like User, but I think this is one of the better ones on there. You got like that nice sort of like groovy tension in there that's a bit kind of soundtracky, I think. Since a bit kind of like Morricone-esque. But, you know, using the word ensconced, which I think I explained last time we did this song, it means to be surrounded by scones. So, you know, top marks for that one.
Very good, very good. Michael E says, a nice punchy LUS track. This is an easy choice for me, indeed. What's Stuart think?
What's he put? He's put, this is more like it. Chunky and bruised with that great insistent stab of a high note with the churning massive movement underneath. Kind of reminds me of Slint. Love it.
You know what? I just pulled up Slint because obviously the big track on Spiderland's Good Morning Captain, right? And it's essentially a Rime of the Ancient Mariner kind of thing, which is not what this is exactly, but it's got a similar vibe to it. But yeah, musically and in delivery, it's not. But yeah, I do get that mystical sea thing, which is beautiful. I mean, it's a good thing to do in any song, to have some mysterious sea things going on. Is that everyone? Have I asked everyone? I'm getting confused now. Yeah.
How many times have you used it? The mysterious sea thing in your songwriting, Brendan?
Too many.
Is that the chord?
Too many. But apparently, Smith did introduce this song one day by saying, "Let me take you down to the former water and show you the wooden tits of the goddess that took away your peg leg, father," which may or may not be a Beefheart reference. But let's take a vote. Are we going with Oleano or Auto Hot Chip? When these two first came up and I saw them up against you, I just thought this was easy. I just thought Auto Chip would just sail through, but I don't think it's going to. Which way are you going, Ezra?
Well, Brendan, you took the words straight out of my mouth because I thought the exact same thing. And I do often, walk down the street and just come along to myself, English musicians are suffering. So I do have a very soft spot for it, but I'm going to have to go with Oleano because at the end of the day, it's the better track.
Indeed. Philip?
Yeah, same. Oleano.
Ooh. Leon?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think there's pros and cons to each tune, really, but I'm going to go Oleano as well.
Oof. I am torn, but I'm still on the side of Auto Chip. Alistair?
Oleano. Unless we want to set it up for fingers, and I'll go for Auto Chip then, just for a laugh.
We're past that.
All right.
Which way is Stuart going?
Oleano.
Oh, it's easy. It's a route. All right. Well, that takes us on to the next showdown. We've got I'm Going to Spain up against African Mancunian.
So, did you intend to do a Christopher Walton impression then?
I'm going to Spain. I can't do Walton.
You can't do it, and you try.
I've sold my car, thrown in my jar. I'm 34 years old. I think it's time I saw the world and not Australia. I've sold my car, thrown in my jar. I'm 34 years old. I think it's time I saw the world, 'cause I hate the cold and rain and grey and they say it doesn't rain. I hope I can quickly learn the language, yeah. I hope I can quickly learn the language.
I always would think, when they said the Factory Floor gave me some tapes of Elton John, for some reason I started the term Equine John at some point. I heard it and I for many years I just imagined a horse version of Elton John. This is not related to this song or this story anyway. But here's the thing. Everyone says how this is an awful, awful song. I think I may have discovered another song called I'm Going to Spain, which which will give it a run for its money. If I can jump on, and I'm just going to, I will show, you can judge whether this one is a better or worse version of a song called I'm Going to Spain.
I'm going to Spain in a Ryanair plane, getting a bit of sun, having a bit of fun. It's hard to explain. I'll probably miss the rain, but I can't complain. I'm going to Spain.
Now that's the version they should have covered if they really wanted to stick it to us. A beautiful there by Peter Sumner, Roger Marks, and John Sumner, no relation. Alistair, what do you make of?
Are those the guys from New Order?
They are that's the ones that are not that they were in the early version when they was
the old order,
kind of a Bee Gees thing, and Bernard pushed them out in favor of etc.
It looks like one for Mike Reed's what's it called, Heritage Chart Show on Talking Pictures TV, where they bring the oldies back. Have any of you guys seen that?
No.
I'm aware of it.
It's quite something. It's quite something. You sort of, I don't know what gives you Heritage Act status. I mean, obviously being old, but you know, Bon Jovi get into it, and but also Marty, what's his name? Marty Wilde.
Marty Wilde.
He's number one. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Basically, if you've got more than double digits on Ponton's appearances, you can be in the Heritage Guard. Yeah. What do you make of this, Leon? Is this a lot of people find it really charming, and other people just they have no time for it? Where do you stand?
I think it's hard not to be charmed by it. Balearic Fall, very nice sound. How many times have you lads talked about this tune now?
Not enough.
5 or 6. I think I'm looking forward to like the 7th time around. I think that's when you're going to come up with the really hot takes on this tune.
It was an oversight, a little bit of an oversight about how many times we were going to talk about the same song. But thankfully, at this point, they're at least spaced out by a few months. By the time we get to like round 4, they'll be like every other week.
I like it. It's great. It's good fun, and I think it's in the perfect place on Infotainment Scan. It breaks up the album and it provides a bit of levity and joy, and that's shouldn't be dismissed. We don't want all dark hypnotic songs about paranoia.
Oh, no.
Here.
Loose electric sloppy guitar, and Smith strolls in with his heart on his sleeve. Castanets, hand claps. The most accessible fall song ever. Dave Bush fills in the ambience with far too many keyboards. Good lad. And he now lives in Spain. So,
the irony.
Well. This is almost certain what set him off on that train of thought. Philip, where are you on this today?
Yeah, I really like it. It's every single time I like it, it charms the pants off me. And I love the really crappy karaoke production on it. I think it suits it for every reason, and I love how earnest Mez's performance is on it. It's really weird when you hear Mez respecting other people's material, isn't it? Because it happens a few times. There's A Day in the Life as well. I think we've talked about how respectful he is of the material in his performance on that, and he does the same thing here, on completely the opposite spectrum of like what is usually considered a good pop record. Again, last time we talked about it, we talked about how the original tune is a nice pop tune. It seems to have had a really rough deal with in culture, but this again, it's a great tune.
So
I love his little falsetto every time on the chorus as well. That's probably my favorite bit.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I love that. They sort of good Spain.
I once again, so last time this came up, and actually this is only the second time properly in the competition, but it popped up a bunch of times throughout as well in various guises. But I messaged Steve Bent the first time round. He still hasn't read the message I said. So I went back onto Facebook today, and I was about to send him a follow-up, and I noticed that he hadn't looked at the one from 6 months ago, and I was like, I'll leave it till next time it comes round. See if he might have logged into Facebook. God rest his soul.
Good morning, Mum.
Alistair, what do you make of it?
Well, I quite enjoyed your Equine John thing before, because I've been like trying to come up with band names again, and I came up with something similar this week, which was Ewok-Powell, and I was thinking of the Rivers of Stormtrooper blood.
Ewok-Powell and Equine John, Fire and Ice.
But yeah, I'm going to spend it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a cover. I remember it in the Festive 50 back in the day. I don't vote for covers. Don't vote for covers, me. So I won't be voting for this one. But yeah, the singing, the vocal delivery is dead funny, and love that. I'm glad you picked up on it, Phil. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's you normally say it's a bit throwaway, but I think there's a bit more longevity to it than it just being a sort of like disposable tune, even though it is a cover. It's it's good.
A little bit more, yeah. And there's very few covers still left in. I think only 2 or 3 straight up covers made it through. So I kind of brought them down.
The best.
So what made it through? Popcorn double feature got through Heart the Herald Angels and I Come and Stand at Your Door, and then Ibis Afro Man, which isn't really a cover. Those are the only ones that got through, I think. Or Higgledy Piggledy, which you stated was not a cover, so
that's not a cover.
No. Ezra, you love this. Surely you love this.
Oh yeah, I do. I love it very much. I mean, as a piece of music, it's impeccable. As a cover version, it's unimpeachable. It's my mission in life when it comes to this bracket of the fall to just vote through all the tracks with castanets in. So that'd be this one and The Mixer, the 2 best full tracks from this particular era. And I will fight anybody who disagrees with me there. I'm interested to pick your brains, fellows. Does anybody know if they ever played this live? Because I'd really like to hear a live version.
I believe they did, actually, very, very few times, and I seen one. I witnessed one of those times. So I think maybe the 3rd or 4th full gig I saw was at Bath Hub Club. The club what no longer exists. It's the best, great sound in there, and I didn't know. I always wanted to try and find a recording of it for years and years, and when I did, many years later, they had played I'm Going to Spain. No recollection of it, but I was there.
Beautiful. So there's one released version from October 93. So when was the Infotainment Scan? That was about that time, right? So this is kind of contemporary to that album, I think. So yeah, we'll have a quick listen. Not sure what they made of it live.
Grammarly is a digital writing.
It is indeed. So you have no recollection, Leon, when you saw it? You don't know if they massacred it or...
No, I remember the actual gig and parts of the gig, but I couldn't have told you what songs were played. Maybe if... I know they finished with Big New Prince and they played Hit the North, and like a load of contemporary songs at the time, which was around the time of the Behind the Counter single came out, I think. But yeah, other than that, not really.
All right, let's have a listen to this. This is Batch Cap in Frankfurt. I went there a few times because I used to live in Frankfurt. It's watched a wrestling show there with Rob, which was fun. It's not a great venue. It was someone Clutch. We were watching Clutch because he's a big Clutch fan. It was rubbish. Don't tell Rob though, because he loves him. Sound wasn't that great. No, I quite liked it actually, but I don't think the sound was fantastic. going to be a guitar solo. So quite faithful, not too bad at all. Some nice cheeky percussion.
Decent.
I had that same feeling then when I used to listen to Led Zeppelin bootlegs and you're waiting for Robert Plant to kick in on Black Dog, and then he never commits as high as he does on the record. It's always a little bit lower.
I was just surprised that he got the words right. You think he's reading them that early, or who knows? I must have asked everyone here. What's Stu think?
I'll tell you what Stu thinks.
Yeah.
He's put shite. The guitar sound is so wanky and it's all fey and floppy. I used to think it was funny, but when those Enya synths come in, I get acid reflux.
Oh, you is shite. You are, lad. Get back to your granular synthesis. Michael Lee is a more reasonable fella, and he says it's kind of a joke track, but the Fall Do It Straight into the credit comes out as a good track and a highlight of the LP. Now there's somebody that we want on our team. It's up here. I sold my car after joining my job. I'm 34 years old. Brilliant. My mother cried last Friday night when I said that. My mother cried last Friday night when I said that I'd be gone. She packed it up, then cashed in her premium bonds. Better rate culture, the boy. I'm going to Spain. Cousin Norman had a real fine time last year. It is up again.
You know, Liam, we said it'll be the 7th time we do this song that we get the hot take. I thought you were being pessimistic, but now I think you were being optimistic.
African Mancunian, which was, I guess, unreleased and apparently recorded in 87. So that would have been, Seminal Live, like User Syndrome? Am I right with that? Maybe something like that. It reminds me of Borman. That's what I'm going to say once we've listened to it. So I think it might be from a similar era. Maybe not. Maybe it's years later. Let's have a listen.
Do you want to have a listen to it?
Yeah, please, Phil. I'll stop talking.
Good song. Gross. Fine home.
Nets, Runic, Greco, Alabaster, Red, Islas Head, Penultimate, My System is Fantastic, and Absolute.
Indeed. Alistair, what of African Mancunian?
Well, it's kind of like dubby, and it's one of those like studio tracks. They obviously like been pissing around like with a couple of ideas, but you got some like great rhythms in there, and I did quite like the sort of didge thing that's going on the drone. Yeah, fit for like something that was never released, or it's kind of like ended up on the cutting room floor kind of thing. Yeah, it's a really good one, very experimental. Emphasis on the mental. And that's the kind of stuff that ticks boxes for me. So I'm definitely going with this one because it's not a cover.
No. I was all over the place when I was saying what it might have been from, because like User Syndrome's like 10 years later. It's like 97. So I was thinking Seminal Live, or the next album they did, which was like User Syndrome.
I'm surprised they didn't get on Seminal Live, really, because there was a couple of studio tracks on there, and it'd been perfect. I think if I'm going to say it reminds me of another Fall song, it'd be Purple Visit.
Yeah, there's that. I was saying that I Am Borman because it's a very minimal and abstract kind of thing, and I wondered if it was the same era, and I guess it's not quite the same lyrical themes, but you can see how it might cross over, especially...
Yeah, it's kind of like Curious Orange sort of era, isn't it?
Yeah. But Mancunian, I'm going to leave this to our religious expert, Philip Rigby, to kind of tell us what that means, because he's not saying anything about being Mancunian. He's talking about being Manichaean. So, Philip, what's all that about?
It's a dualism, isn't it, Manichaeanism? So it's like a proto-Gnosticism. So it's all based on the idea of essentially all of reality is a battle between good and evil. and there is an evil spirit out there and a good spirit out there, and you've got to align yourselves to one of them or be caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, missed that. Can you say it again?
Phil, do you know where Smith may have got that from, Blake?
Well, I suspect that he's picked up on stuff like that, if it is a reference to that, and it could quite easily just be him mucking around, but if it is a reference to that, it's probably out of heresy books, because Gnosticism was one of the great heresies against the Roman Church. So I suspect, knowing his interests in all things sort of conspiratorial and transgressive and that kind of thing, he's probably picked up on it from there. But I think it's a really, if it is that he's referencing, it's a great sort of vibey word for this kind of piece of music. I think I like what Al said about dub. I think that's a reasonable way of looking at it. I think F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T is a similar attitude in putting the music together. I love his vocals, the duet that he's doing with himself, where it seems to crawl all over each other, the words that he's spitting out. I love singing along with this. I think it's very enjoyable to kind of get in with that kind of rhythm that he's doing. I don't mind the didgeridoo. It doesn't sound bad, but I think with the context of the song and what he's trying to do, I would have preferred anything else. Something, I don't know, like he's talking lots about sort of Greco and African and sort of, these are all like ethnicities that he's pulling on. So I would have preferred something that wasn't Australasian. I think, given what he's talking about, I would have preferred something like a Karnax or something over the top of it.
Kazoo.
Pardon?
Kazoo.
A kazoo, yeah, sure. I mean, that could have sounded awesome. Do you know what I mean?
When you're opening with "I don't mind the didgeridoo" and you're talking about a fall track, you might already be in trouble.
It doesn't sound bad, is what I mean. It doesn't sound bad, but I just think it was a bit of a short-sighted choice, given how smart he normally is on those types of things.
Well, let me put this
like the horns on the start of Noel's Chemical Effluence and stuff like that. He's normally quite savvy about what he's doing, isn't he?
Do you know who was the founder of Manichaeism?
Manny?
And who was just starting to become well known in Manchester in 1987?
Stone Roses.
Yeah, mind blown.
Peacock
Postcog.
Exactly, the Apostle of Light. It's got a kind of Gregorian thing, which is kind of weird. We're not going to get to Hostile today. We'll get to it next time. But it was weird when those tunes started digging into the lyrics, because they both deal with different aspects of religion and use similar tricks to kind of get the feeling across, which is he's doing a kind of tribal thing to some degree, but he's also got some kind of like chanting on in the background and with the drones. And I get what you mean, that it's like a didgeridoo doesn't really, it's not the right instrumentation if you want to make build up a particular Da Vinci Code feeling.
I think there's like a trance thing that he's trying to build up with. It's very shamanic, isn't it? It's very sort of, twilight and liminal and something strange going on. I just thought it was a strange intellectual choice to make, really. I don't think it sounds bad. I think it sounds exactly the kind of mood he's trying to get. But
I reckon if you'd have multi-tracked it, like stuck a few of them on there, got it a bit more powerful, that'd have been really effective.
Yeah.
Like pushing pedals.
Yeah. Ezra, what this one do for you?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I love the shambolic kind of, falling down the stairs rhythm to it. I like the didgeridoo. For me, it sounds like a call to prayer. That's what I think when I hear it. I think it's a track which really rewards a deep listen, which is a shame because I don't really have many opportunities to do that, because it feels like the lyrical lines are kind of taking different roles, maybe the roles of opposites. And I find the lyrics super, super interesting because it's very, very abstract, and it's quite hard to really pass what he's going for. But having read up on the old Mancunianism,
I'm probably saying it wrong. I don't know how you say it. So yeah. Is it Manichaeism? Is it Manichaeism? I'm not sure.
he seems to be like kind of looking at the opposites and finding dark and light in different things. At least this is how it approached me today. You know, like
do you think it's deliberate then?
Hence, all people who left out form wires, torso, optimal, bear with me. And then he's talking about construction, musical phrases, colors, lines. So there seems to be like some kind of contrast between art and creation, and maybe immigrants. I'm not sure. My favorite line is, "My body is lower expedient and well pleased with it. It is excellent and cleans out poetic form." So there we've also got the two kind of poles of the head and the bum hole through which we clear our bowels of poetry. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting one. And I always want to listen to the last line, because in the annotated fall, it's written as I Vengian or Vengean Mancunian. And I'm just like, what's that word, Vengian or Vengean? And I want to hear him say it so that I know what sound he's using for that word. It's not a word I'm familiar with. Do any of you chaps know what it means?
I thought you were going to say Merovingian at first, but that's a completely different one. No, I have no idea.
Yeah, and of course they've discussed it in lots of detail on the annotated fall to work out what it could be and what it could mean. But
so Ezra, do you reckon it is? Is it that obvious that it is a sort of duality thing that he's playing out? I know it's a bit of a duet that he's doing.
No, I don't think it is at all. I think it's very up for grabs. But I was, having read the Wikipedia page on the Mancians or the Mancunians, and then kind of like reading the lyrics in light of that, I was thinking, yeah, well, it's very vague, especially like the stuff like lines become tense. Like, to me, it felt like a line of poetry becoming a line of tents, and then the stuff about wires made me think of refugee camps, right? So it's very, very vague and abstract stuff. So not necessarily at all.
Okay.
Leon, what do you make of this track?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with lots of what you've all been saying, really. The sort of links to studio dub, the super intriguing lyrics. It's a interesting oddity in their catalogue. I think, I can see the similarities to Half-Found Boorman, like you said, Brendan. I can also see Alistair thinking it would fit nicely on Seminole. It would have improved Seminole, so I agree with all of those points. I think, yes, I wondered whether it was a didgeridoo or it was Simon Rogers playing a down-tuned panpipe.
One can hope.
Could have been blowing a raspberry down a toilet tube.
It does sound a bit fluty at times, what he's playing. I did wonder if it was a wooden flute or something.
Mancunian.
Yeah. I guess if you want to get that, Gnostic spiritual vibe going, maybe Simon Rogers isn't exactly the right man for the job.
So I imagine if you look at the description of him after he's been on tour for 2 weeks, where he's got the bottle of Jack Daniels and he's got the heart and he's like just blowing into his panpipe. I imagine that's what Smith could see when he was recording this.
This is the true inspiration, I think, behind this track.
Mancunian.
This is that's all I've got to say, Brandon. I've got nothing else to say.
That's brilliant. No, that's fine. Can you hear these chaps saying the word Manichaean or not?
Mancunian.
Yep.
Mancunian.
So for me, I think that concept of the Manichaean, the light and dark thing was pops up from time to time. I've run into it, and last time I ran into it was watching Pender's Fen. We've talked about it a few times, and the teacher gives a big long talk, or the dad gives a big long talk on Manichaeism. I think the teacher doesn't. Then there's a lot of talk about that concept in there. That's really interesting. I'm going to read some of the lyrics. I Manichaean, it's on approach, fine, honed stories. Of course, take these with a pinch of salt, because it's very hard to tell what he's actually saying. Because the abstract thing is not just that the words themselves are abstract, but they're just spread out in big spaces between them as well, right? So it's even the delivery that makes it hard to to parse and work out what's going on. Fine-honed stories, lines becoming tense. All people who left out form wires, torso, optimal, bear with me, altered to run, perfection. I Manichaean, back and forth, to the swing of them nets, runic, Greco, alabaster green. This is the construction. I Manichaean, my body is lower, and well pleased with it. Madness. Beautiful madness. This is like, when you get lost tracks or tracks that have been unreleased, and you always hope they're not just going to be like some shit instrumental that they spent 5 minutes on. But this one and what Medical Acceptance Gate, wow. What else is hidden that we never got to see? Yeah, because Smith just threw the tape down the back of the couch or whatever, and it was never heard from again. So yeah, what Stu? I imagine Stu likes this one.
You would think so, wouldn't you, on this? So he's put not exactly keen on this one either, but I do like the spread of drum voices and the stacked impenetrable voices. It's very throwaway, but I don't hate it.
Tell you what, Stu, we'll remix it. We'll rip it apart. We'll put it through the mixer. We'll do something good with it. Me and Stu have been passing some files back. It's been fun times. Put in the red, lad. Is that what you said? Before you froze. Saint Augustine, Manichaean, was born in Algeria. If that helps. Just like Jacques Derrida. I'm losing the track. I'm losing plots. We've got to vote. All right. Michael E says, I'd completely forgotten that I had this track. I am guessing it wasn't released at the time because they never found a place on an LP where it'd fit nicely. It does not stand up well by itself, but could be a great palette cleanser with an LP track listing. Yeah, I like that. Seminole, put that on a couple more tracks. You got an EP to rival Slate. Shall we take a vote? Leon, are you going with I'm going to Spain or I African Mancunian?
It's quite tricky, this one, isn't it?
Which continent?
Again, they're so different. I'm going to go with I'm going to Spain.
Okay, nice. You can split your vote, but that's the scoundrel.
The coward's way out.
So thank you. Good job. All right, you are going with Spain.
Thank you.
Exactly. And Philip, which way are you going?
I love Spain to bits, but I really want to get more into so that gets my vote.
Yeah, I'm feeling similarly. Like I'm going to Spain is one of my favorite tracks. Absolutely love it. But as Leon alluded to, we may have dug as deep into that track as we're going to get it, unless we start to work out just are the castanets spelling out maybe some kind of message.
It's Elgar's mystery tune.
Very good. Alistair, Spain or I African Mancunian?
Spain. No, only joking. It's a cover. African Mancunian and Mancunian.
A Mancunian candidate, indeed. Ezra?
Well, if they'd have had the basic fucking common sense to put some castanets on African Mancunian, I might have voted for it. But I'm going to vote for I'm going to Spain. And I think there's a deep vein of Manichaeanistic thought and philosophy within that track, which I can't wait to sink my fangs into.
Go into the light. Go into the light. What about Stuart?
Yeah, I think he's gone for I am.
Interesting.
Just there is written it.
Is that everyone? Is there only me left? What does Michael E think? Michael E has gone for I'm going to Spain. So that means
spicy.
That means I get the deciding vote.
Hey!
And I am going to split my vote and send it to the fingers. All right. So out of 3, I am going to Spain. Has Stu give you points out of 3? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. Out of 3, I'm going to Spain. All righty. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And how many is Stu given?
He's given Spain nothing.
Oof. So that's 10. It's all to play for. I African Mancunian. What are we giving it? They made it do that thing again. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ezra, are you a 0? He's on mute. He's refusing.
0. If I thought we had to give at least 1, but obviously now we can do 0.
No, we can do 0. No negatives at this point. But all right, so that's 8 plus whatever Stu's given it.
2.
Oof. That means they both got 10. That means by our new rule that I introduced last week, they both go through. so we in the last week we've not knocked any songs.
This is never going to end, is it?
This is what purgatory feels like.
All right. So Oleano goes through, and both Spain and I African Mancunian go through into the next round. What a waste of time that was. But it was far from a waste of time, because that awesome toast in Futures and Pasts. Looking forward to listening back to that stuff. Thanks very much, Leon, for coming along again and bringing those tunes.
Thanks, cool. Thanks for inviting me. Had a good time.
When we get to do Bonkers in Phoenix, if I could do the Futures and Past on Pinky and Perky, I'd love that.
It's all working out beautifully, isn't it? Well, next week we're not doing it, because you remember what happened in next week, Alistair?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we've got a lovely guest on, haven't we?
Got a lovely guest. Una Baines of Presswitch is coming by. Yeah, she's going to talk us through the new record. Beautiful. It sounds great, and I've been reading lots of good reviews of it. So get it listened to before next week. Get some poppycock down you. Well, thanks everyone. Have a good week, and take care. See you all soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm going to play the fall tune right now, if I can find it.
I would say